welcome. Hi, my name is Dr. Ken Martz. I've been an addictions counselor and psychologist for the past 25 years, and I love this work. And so today I want to give you a brief introduction about the skills and power and the importance of this specialty within the professions. I'm going to emphasize a little bit of focus on some of the different settings and the collaborations that are required. I'll also mention a little bit about how some things are similar to uh, other disciplines as well. So think a little bit about the setting first. This is across different disciplines. There is a range, a continuum of care from outpatient through residential to even inpatient hospitalization. But this is a little bit more prominent within the, the substance use disorder community. Now, within outpatient facilities, there is typically a client comes in, you work with them for a hour or a couple of hours, and they go back home and are still faced with the daily stresses and challenges and temptations that they have in their home with their daily lives. So typically work is done here either with people who are less severe at intake, or if they have a residential treatment process, they may step down to back down to an outpatient process on the tail end. However, residential is really unique for substance use disorder treatment and has a lot of great opportunities, especially for folks who are new to the field or just learning. In a traditional outpatient setting, I have one client and I'm in the room with just me. Now, for training purposes, some sites may have like recordings or one-way mirrors or things like that, but very often you are working with the client alone. And so with a residential program, however, I am working with this client along with an entire team. So you really get a much deeper lens and understanding about how other folks are seeing this client. So you can figure out which things are our own interpretations versus how other senior and experienced staff get to see them. And also helps us to really hear about how to understand a client across disciplines as you work together side by side on the team with the psychiatrist, the social worker, the psychologist, other counselors, other peers in recovery. So you can really begin to understand where these pieces all fit together in the puzzle of understanding the issue that's in front of us. So regardless of the setting, though, the collaboration elements are critical to this. And we never work alone as an addictions counselor. So there will always be, even in an outpatient setting, a coordination that we need to do with these other clinicians. So this really creates opportunities for us to manage where the client is at, where they're headed, and really help to maintain a focus on all these different layers, such as their physical health, their mental conditions, their trauma, family dynamics. So you can really help to move them towards a longer term sense of sobriety and recovery and hope. Now, addiction recovery is also unique in that if I have a personality disorder or something of that nature, there may be a bit more of a plateau and you don't see as much change on a day to day basis. Within the addictions treatment world, however, if I was using substantial alcohol on a daily basis and then I stop using today, I will go through a period of withdrawal management, which can last some days to weeks to post acute withdrawal. However, you see some rapid changes as the individual can reawaken and recover life outside of that state of being under the influence. Now, that's only one step in the process. Of course, there's a lot of then the work of therapy begins as we help to teach the tools, the new coping skills, and the processes that they need to be able to build and maintain a long-term recovery. And also in the collaboration with the funders to make sure that they understand and continue to fund appropriate the intensity and duration to get that we have the time to do the skills building that is needed. So While this is a challenging field because of the risks of relapse, this is also a time of great hope where we get to see actual change. And it's really valuable for us to remember that the expectation of and outcomes of good treatment is recovery. And so this is something that the individuals who come to see us often don't get to see because they've been in the middle of the addiction process with their blinders on for so long. And they maybe have tried many things before that weren't successful. And so it's up to us to help build the proper wraparound and connections that will help them to be able to do that. There'll be lots of similarities to some other disciplines, such in the day to day, such as doing an intake, doing paperwork, some process notes, some treatment planning processes, things like that. However, each discipline will still have some unique elements that we need to assess or monitor in our treatment planning processes. So it's certainly very demanding work, and it's also very rewarding. Really having an opportunity to change a life, not only for the individual, but for the families, loved ones, and the next generation, since we know that approximately 1 in 4 individuals has someone with an addiction process in their family. So the work that you do is incredibly valuable. So thank you. Thank you for the work that you're preparing for, and enjoy.